Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Pits of Motor Chaos. This is your host, Dave. I got a lot of special guests from the America's 1320 Legends, the pure evil front engine Elky dragster driver, Tony Price. How you doing, Tony?
Hey, pretty good, Dave.
I love that dragster, man.
Oh, thank you. I love it too.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, you guys always do a good show at Great Lakes Dragway, man.
Yeah, thanks. That's really what we try to do. Yeah, it's a lot of fun driving the car, and it's kind of a lifelong dream. But at the same time, all of us in the group really know the reason we're there is for the fans. People came there to see a show, so we try to do the best we can.
So were you able to get any passes in that past Saturday when it got rained out?
Oh yeah. That the Memorial Day thing was a bit of a surprise for us. So a week before the race, the car was completely in parts all over the garage, and Levi had contacted the rest of the group and says, "Oh yeah, let's go up there." And I was like, "All right, we're in now." So I spent long nights getting the thing back together. So there's no way I wasn't going to get a pass on Saturday. So yeah, we wound up getting two passes in. Like I said, we rolled the car out of the trailer and finished putting the body on it and getting the last bits on it. So it was a last minute affair, but car didn't run as well as we wanted to. But first time out, shake the weeds off, and we were happy with it. Mile per hour was there, 187 miles per hour, so power's there. Just got to work on the driver a little bit.
Yeah, so you really had to start thrashing on that car to get that thing ready for that Saturday, huh?
Yeah, that's, with the virus stuff going on, that nobody was really sure what was going on. And, I thought I had a lot of time to get the car together, and as time gets closer and closer, and then the Friday before opened up the state of Wisconsin there, so all of a sudden the game had changed, and I thought I had maybe a month or so before things are back to normal, and it was really it was a week. So, but I work better with a deadline than what's not. So there was a target, and we achieved it. So, but yeah, it was great to be out. It was great to see so many people that were out there, because I think a lot of people were in the same situation, wondering what's going on, and everybody knew it was going to rain later that day. That's one of the few times the forecasters were actually right. So the rain was right on time, and we got a few runs in there. Unfortunately, not everybody could see all of the show, but we got something in. So
yeah, mainly that was just a thing to help out Randy, put a show on.
Yeah, and those guys have been really good to us. They've always treated us right as a group. So we're really appreciative to what the guys at GLD have done for us. So
Yeah. Then it was kind of like a test and tune for you.
Yeah. I have to say that most of the times I take it up there, it's always testing and tuning. And it's funny. I think everybody in the group is the same way. We all say that we kind of just race for fun, but we're all looking at the time slips. We're all looking at the 60 foots. We're always, all right, how can we get another couple hundreds off of this? Every year, everybody's trying to do a little bit more to their car, as the budget allows and stuff like that. But yeah, every pass is, we're always trying to shave a little ET off, throwing money at these cars that we'll never ever get back. But yeah, that's racing, so that's why we do it.
Yeah, you make a lot of noise with that dragster, being a Elky. It's loud.
Yeah, it's yeah, it got a lot louder when I put the zoomies on it. When I first got the car, it had four collector headers and stuff like that. And, yeah, it sounded cool. But it sounds totally different with the zoomies on it. It's kind of fun to blow some hats off on the starting line too.
Yeah. So how did you come up with the name Pure Evil for the dragster?
Oh, yeah, that was a bit of a struggle. When I first got the car, the car had really no lettering on it. It was just black, and my neighbor saw it, and he's like, "Well, I like the car, but I hate the color." And I was like, thanks, pal. It's my lifelong dream there. But anyway, I drove it for a couple of years that way, and Kenny Thatcher in the group there was kind of giving me a hard time, like, you need to put a name on the car, but I didn't know what to put it on there, and I'm not terribly creative, so I thought about it all winter long, and I don't know, the names from the 60s always stuck with me, when cars had names.
Yeah.
And everybody knew the cars' names, the Blue Max and all of that stuff. And I was like, it's true. Everybody, kind of relates to that. So I was thinking about the names, and they always had, Pure Hell and Pure Evil, and the Pure Walters really, really, those were really exciting to watch. Not sure I want to drive one, but they're really fun to watch. So it's kind of a take on that. And, the whole idea that put the little Mopar symbols in the lettering there, so they're Mopar signals turned on their signs turned on their side, to make the E's in Pure Evil was kind of a cool little touch. There may or may not have been beer involved in this design session, but but yeah, it was basically just sitting around throwing out ideas. So try to do a little take on the old Fuel Walters, although it's a front engine dragster, that those things always got named, the so-and-so special or whatever like that, which I don't know, didn't have the pizzazz that I thought Pure Evil had. So we went with it, and a friend of the club, Mark, came over to the house and lettered it for me. I think the paint had just dried before the Memorial Day race that year, so we took it out. And, yeah, it's funny. People really, I don't know, the black letters, the yellow letters on a black car really stand out. And, I've got a lot of compliments about it. So some people say it was named after their ex-wife. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it was a struggle to come up with a name, but I'm happy with it. People recognize it. People say, "Hey, I saw that car," so it makes me feel good.
Now that dragster's alky injected or blown?
It's injected alky. It's got a tunnel rim intake on it, which is really tall, really long runners on it. That I had intentions of shortening that up, but I did a little homework on it, and I thought, for the RPM range the thing is running, that's actually the same manifold that I would have built if I started from scratch, so I left it on there. But it's just about as tall as a blower would have been. Yeah, I don't know. I thought about putting a blower on it at some point, but it's still, there's still a lot of VT left in it the way it is, so I think I'm going to leave it the way it is. We've never ran nitro in it so far. It's been 100% alky so far, but I'll probably do that before I step onto the blower idea.
So you thinking about putting a touch of nitro in there?
Yeah, I was just laughing with some guys at the track the other night about that everybody in the world that ever had an injected alcohol car has always said, "I'm going to put 10% nitro in it someday." Yeah, it's, it'd be interesting to see how much it would wake up the car. And it smells awesome, and I don't know, nitro's cool.
Yeah, so it's always nice to make people's eyes tear up on the starting line,
Yeah, for sure.
So now let's go back into your history here, and how did you get into drag racing?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's my dad. Yeah, I guess some of my, uh, you know, first memories of being a little kid of doing stuff was being up at Union Grove, watching the drag races there. And he'd take us up there when he could afford it, and he always complained about all the nitro cars and stuff like that. He always hated them doing burnouts and backing up and taking all this time. He was more of a pro stock guy. So I couldn't say anything, but we all love the fuel cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been into cars since way before I was born, obviously. So he used to he had a '69 Charger that he bought new, and take it up there and make passes with it when he could scrape together a few bucks. But yeah, it was really my dad, and over the years he always had various cars, changing them out here and there. And sooner or later they always wound up at the drag strip. And as I got older, I started helping him out with the car. After I got out of college, I put a little more effort into it because I got a job and I actually had money at that point. So me and my dad had worked together on that car for the car that he had at the time was a '63 Plymouth, and we worked on that car and kind of went from a 12-second car to a car that run 10.0s, high 9s, and yeah, that's that was it for me at that point. But as I got older, I decided, that's cool, help my dad, but it'd be kind of cool to put together my own car. So I had found in Kenosha, of all places, a guy who had a '65 Coronet for sale, which was kind of a 2-year updated version of my dad's old car. And over the years, I put that thing together, and I actually still have that car now. Don't get out too much, but yeah, that was my first real race car at that point. So that car runs, it put together and still runs, low 10s with it. So I got the chance to race with my dad a few times. But yeah, as I got older, I realized that you're not getting any younger, and the desire to drive a front engine dragster had been there with me since the first days when I remember being up at the Grove, standing in the bleachers with my folks, watching those guys. Like, man, that'd be really cool. So I don't know, found the car I wanted on the internet, of all places, and scratched up all the money I had and borrowed some that I didn't, and I bought the car that I have now.
So what year did you buy that car?
I picked that up in, let's see, that was late 2013, I guess. Yeah, so it was October, of all things, and I'd been chatting with the guy who had the car for, I don't know, a couple of weeks, while I was trying to put together some money. The car actually is from California, but he was in South Dakota. So he bought it from a guy in California and brought it to South Dakota and converted the car from a small block Chevy engine to a big block Chrysler, which that was kind of my I don't know, but it had to be a big block Chrysler if I was going to have a front engine dragster. So I sort of set these rules here, like, okay, front engine dragster has got to be certain length long. I wanted to have a car that was at least 180 inches long. Had to have a Chrysler motor in it. So I set these almost to the point that I was never going to find a car that fit those criteria. And then I found this thing, and I was like, okay, that's it. That's a sign. I got to buy this thing somehow. But yeah, we had made a deal, and we loaded up the truck and trailer, and I was headed out to Rapid City to pick this thing up, and a snowstorm came in and completely shut down the whole western end of South Dakota.
Wow.
So tried to get a hold of the guy. It was a full-on snowstorm. They shut down whatever it is, I-90, I guess, going through South Dakota there. And so anyway, went back home, and next weekend went back out there again, and he met me actually halfway at that point in Worthington, Minnesota, like kind of right on the border there by South Dakota. So, so more or less, bought the car kind of sight unseen, see pictures of it like that, but the guy I bought it from was just an awesome guy to deal with. The car was exactly as he described it. I got, in my opinion, a heck of a deal on the car. And, it was a pretty well sorted out car. The guy had been racing it, some nostalgia events around Rapid City and Idaho and stuff like that. So it was a great starter car, if you will, to learn how to drive one of those things, because it didn't want to kill me right away.
Yeah. Now, did you have to do a lot of work to that car when you brought it back home?
Surprisingly, no. When I picked it up, he'd actually prepared the car for the racing season, so it was pretty fresh. He just put new rods in it, freshened up the rings. The valve train, if anybody who's worked with B1 heads on a Mopar is probably familiar that the valve train on those needs to be done right, and he spent a lot of money getting it right. So yeah, as I bought the car and brought it home, it really needed nothing. Just put fuel in it and started out. But over the years, the motor's been out of, every winter, take it out, freshen it up and stuff like that. Put a few touches on it here and there. Trying to pick up a little ET, make the car easier to, load and unload and move it around and stuff like that. But, it was a pretty solid, high sevens, 770, 760 car. And surprisingly, for a front engine dragster, that I could count on that car running the same ET within a couple hundredths on every run on a weekend. So I don't know, unloaded, it might run 768 or 770 or something like that, but it was like clockwork. So it's a lot of people say that, you can't bracket race a front engine dragster. I said, well, I think this one you could.
So how was your first time experience driving that front engine dragster down the track?
Oh, yeah, that's, I guess the first experience was just hopping in the car here in the yard and firing it up, and you've got this motor right in your lap, more or less, and it's really loud, and you got the fumes in your face, and I thought, I'm not sure I'm ready for this. But yeah, it's, you got to get in there and drive it. The first run for me was, I was really surprised at how hard a car accelerates like that. The previous car that I'd driven, the car would run 980s or something like that. That to me was fast. But to hop in a car that had, 7-second potential was a big jump. So, it took a lot of, half passes and aborted runs for me to really get the hang of it. But yeah, the very first time I stepped on the throttle at the track, I remember my, the car shot forward, my head hit the roll bar. I went down to grab second gear, and totally shot past, went into neutral. The motor shot up, went off the rev limiter. And I just coasted down the rest of the track, and I think it ran like 12 seconds or something like that. So yeah, it was a little embarrassing, but everybody starts somewhere. So
Yeah.
Got back in it and said, okay, let's try this again, just a little easier. But yeah, I'd say the first 300 feet is the most exciting with that car. It moves around a little bit, but after 300 feet, the thing settles down and just keep in the middle of the lane, and the car does everything right from that point. So, yeah, it's been a good car to me.
So the first pass you made with the car, where was it at? The Grove?
Oh yeah. I live so close. I'm half an hour with no traffic away from the Grove, so they're open all the time. So you 6 days a week you can go up there for the most part in the summer. So it just makes life easier being so close to that place.
So what's the quickest pass you've made with that dragster?
Actually, it was last year. It's gone 7:38. I was just thumbing through the time slips trying to figure out how you can squeeze a little more ET out of it this year. But yeah, it's gone 7:38 last year. There's probably a bit more in there. Just the way it sets. Still having some trouble. Year before last, I found an aluminum Indy block for this thing. So that was down in Ohio. So I picked that up and put together a motor with the aluminum block in there. So I took about 200 pounds out of the car. So that really took it from a 770 car to the 730s. But still haven't found the correct setup for the car yet between air pressure, wheelie bar height, and weight on the front end. So we're trying another converter this year as well. See if we can get the thing to launch a little harder. There's the 60 foots are good, but they could be better. So.
So now, for as far as the Grove goes, how many events do you guys usually do a year over there?
This year we'll hopefully get them all in, but not quite sure. There's usually four events that we do. So the Memorial Day thing is always the season kickoff. The Night of Fire, the Jet Car Show that they put on. We usually hit, obviously for us, the big finale is the Labor Day festival as well. And they usually have which I think with scheduling disasters this year, I think this one may or may not happen, but the nostalgia event that they do in June as well. But yeah, this year is going to be a challenge for everybody. But hopefully we'll get as many of these in as we possibly can.
Is that the out of sight drags?
Yeah. So I should have brought out the schedule so I could give some PR for the group. I guess I'm not a good PR guy.
Yeah, I've never been to that event yet. Out of sight, I've never been to one of those yet.
Yeah, the nostalgia events are man, there's so many really awesome ones around. Depending on what your particular taste is, if you want to see the really hardcore stuff with cars that look like 1965, for example, there's so many places you can go to see that. You got the like the Hot Rod reunion stuff that try to make that thing every year down at Bowling Green. It's just an awesome show just to hang out and watch some really cool some really cool stuff down there. They're just, the funny car chaos stuff that they're putting together now. Man, there's so many awesome shows that, just bring back awesome memories for me of, when funny cars were cool, that kind of stuff. When fuel altereds were, commonplace, and you could see those things, at any given Sunday around the neighborhood. So, yeah, that's I guess that's part of getting old. You start appreciating all this nostalgia stuff, but that's me.
So, have you made it out to Bakersfield yet?
No, that's another one of my bucket lists. I've got a lot of people like, oh yeah, I'll go out there with you, but life gets in the way, and it's work-wise for me. That's always a tough time to bust out in March, and it was really bitter for me this year because I had made loose plans with some friends I had out there, and not realizing all of this crazy virus stuff that, oh man, I missed a really awesome show right before it hit the fan. So, but yeah, I'd love to get out to Bakersfield and see what they do there.
Yeah, see all that nitro.
Yeah, and just oceans and oceans of cars. I was really blown away the first time I went down to Bowling Green and watched what they did there, and walking through the swap meet, looking at acres and acres of really cool stuff. I could only imagine what it's like in Southern Cal.
Now, if you go to Bakersfield, are you going to bring the dragster with you?
It's a bit of a haul. I'm not sure my trailer will make it. The only thing more evil than my car is the trailer I haul it in. But yeah, actually, I was hoping to get the dragster down to Bowling Green at some point and run the 750 Eliminator class with it. So just it kind of fits the class, and some of the guys from the club go down there as well. So. And it's a reasonably close trip. You can, with a little bit of hardcore driving, get down there in one day. But yeah, that's a long haul across the western edge of the U.S. So I don't know. It could be a retirement thing though. So maybe.
Now, how did you meet up with the 1320 Legends guys?
I guess I had. Well, I'd made a few passes in the car, and I was up on a Thursday night, just trying to do a better driver. And I believe it was Kenny that just kind of barged into my trailer and says, "What are you doing here? You need to race with us. We're racing Labor Day. You be here." I remember looking at him like, "What? Huh?" He's like, "Yeah. It's a perfect car for our group." So. Anyway, we sat and chatted for a while. I think I was still loading up the car, so I was kind of in a hurry to get out of there. And, but anyway, yeah, I showed up, and I was a little apprehensive, like, what did I get myself into here? But it's just a great bunch of guys. We're all kind of the same, competitive, but not really competitive. When we line up on the starting line, I guarantee you that everybody wants to beat the other guy in the other lane. But at the same time, we're not, cutthroat about it. We'll go back in the pits, and afterwards, everybody's suck down a few beverages and, swap tall tales and stuff like that. So they're a really good bunch of guys, and I'm happy to meet up with them. We get some guys from all over the place, all different kinds of cars as well. We had Mark there with us with blown alcohol front engine dragster. The car is just immaculate and incredibly fast. Running 620s, and we got some guys that run in the 10s with some of the front altereds, and those cars can be as out of shape and as swirly as or more than Mark's front engine alcohol blown dragster. So yeah, it's wide variety of people. You got rich people, poor people, everybody in between. So it's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
So what year did you start running with those guys?
That was, I guess 2014, because it was the year, it was like literally the next year. There's not too many front-engine dragsters laying around the drag strip anymore, so you kind of stand out, and I think somebody saw it and says, hey, he's not with us, so let's get him in our club. But no, it's great, too, because you get to race some other front-engine dragsters, and after a while, you go up there and you make a single time run, and it's cool, but it's not nearly as fun as racing some folks. And there's a bunch of cars that are really close in ET in the group, and we try to pair off, for guys that are close in ET, so the races are kind of fun, and it really is. It really is fun.
Now, Kenny, he drives the Terminator?
Yeah, he's the red fuel altered.
Yeah.
So he has been known to toss a little nitro in the tank, and he doesn't tell people when he does it. But yeah, Kenny is he's kind of the ringleader of the group.
Yep. Yeah, you guys always put on a great show, though.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's our it's all about the show to some degree. That's why people come there, is they want to see some cool cars, smoky burnouts, altereds getting squirrely. Some of the cars that are more nostalgic in nature. True to the first cars, the first dragsters that were put there. So there's a little bit of everything. But, it's all about the show. That people can see the cars, and, some of my favorite moments too are, in between rounds, we're hanging out in the pits, after servicing a car that, some folks come by and say, hey, what's going on? Or you see the kids come up, and, I think about, when I was a kid, what was going through my mind when I saw those cars, and I don't know. I always try to get them hooked on the sport. So, every once in a while, toss them in the driver's seat there and let them sit in there. And it's like, hey, this is pretty cool. You want to drive one of these? So, sometimes the kids just scream at you, and some of the kids are really interested. But yeah, it's hanging out, talking to folks that are race fans just like us, and shooting the breeze. Those are great moments.
Now, this past Memorial Day weekend, how did that go? With the pits with this coronavirus garbage, were you able to actually talk to anybody in the pits?
There were a few people that came by, but yeah, it's definitely less. Honestly, nobody ever gets within 6 feet of of anybody anyway. But it adds another challenge to it, and you don't want to shame anybody for wearing a mask, or you don't want to shame anybody for not wearing a mask. And, as far as the folks that help me with the car, my brother and his wife and his friend Kelly, we're all together anyway. So if we were gonna share the virus, we've done it already, so we're not too worried about ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there were a few folks that came up, but unfortunately we were kind of thrashing on the car so much that I didn't have a chance to talk to a whole lot of folks. Usually that comes later in the evening. You got the chutes backed and the car fueled, and you're kind of waiting for the next call. But by the time we got to that point, the race started. So then it was like, oh, let's roll it back in the trailer really quick. So.
Yeah, and I've talked to a couple guys that were running up there that day, and they said they were gonna caution tape their whole pit area because of the coronavirus stuff.
Oh yeah,
if I was that afraid, I'd stay home. Yeah, to me, that's one of the great things about drag racing too, is that if you pay to get in, you can walk through the pits and you can see the cars. And if you're a mechanical nerd, then you're really enjoying that stuff. That's really the 50% of the reason you're there is to go look at the cars. So yeah, to deny people not to come and look at my stuff, that's to me, it's come have a look. That's I wouldn't kick people out unless they go digging through the cooler or stealing my food. Then you gotta go.
Yeah, I was watching like video footage from that event last time. Hardly anyone had a face mask on at that event.
Yeah, I noticed a few people in the stands that were wearing face masks. And it seems like usually the older folks, which, I totally get. And like I said, I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but I'm not wearing one when I'm at the track. I got to wear one all day at work. So if I can maintain my distance from somebody at the track, forget it. I'm not going to wear one.
Yeah.
Hard to go through the helmet with it too.
Yeah. So now, Tony, what drivers were like your biggest influences when you were, starting out drag racing?
Oh man, well, obviously my dad. Yeah, but as far as like professional drivers, that it's funny. I guess Perdomo and Garlitz. Don Garlitz was obviously, for Chrysler nerds like me, he was, the hero of everybody, and just seemed like a regular kind of guy that everybody could relate to. And Perdomo, he just won everything. I guess I always had a soft spot for Bob Glidden. It's the kind of guy that built the car from the ground up, did everything top to bottom, drove the truck and trailer and, drug his wife along and made her, work on the car too. I would say that those were probably my heroes, if you will, from drag racing.
Now, how about Don Garlitz?
Oh yeah, Garlitz. I miss the. I went to his museum. Oh man, that was like 30 years ago. It was hardly anything at that point. It's grown so much now, and I missed the opportunity to meet him there. But actually, the year before I bought the dragster, he was up at the Grove for the Labor Day thing, and he brought one of his old swamp rats with the Gen 3 Hemi in it and the blower on it, which was kind of cool. So he fires it up and makes a lap on it. So I finally got to meet him after all those years, and he was just as nice a guy as I thought he was. Eccentric a little bit, which I guess we all are. But yeah, I think he understands his role in racing. Is like, there's a lot of people that look up to him, and he's just a really nice guy to talk to.
Now, how many crew members do you have for your dragster?
As a minimum, it's me. My brother Tom, who always helps out. He's without him, it's really tough to do it. And usually, it got to have two other people. So Tom's wife, Candy, helps out, and actually Kelly, who actually grew up next to us when Tom and I were kids in the house next door. So he's kind of the third helper there. So you can do it with less, but yeah, it's a lot harder. So yeah, there's a lot of little things like, we always push the car over the staging lanes and stuff like that. It's like, well, theoretically, once I get it started, I could probably drive it over there, but it's just easier not to. It's easier not to sit in the staging lanes for an hour with, you're all suited up and sweating to death over there.
Yeah.
And pushing the car back down the return road. It's nice to have somebody down there and not wait for half an hour for somebody to get back. So, the crew of 3 plus me is that's kind of the minimum. But if I have to, I can do less.
Now, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions when you're out there on the track?
I guess for me, it's not superstition, but it is trying to do everything the same way every time. To kind of build that habit, if you will. And as far as like the startup procedure and how long, start the motor, check for leaks, let it set for a bit, roll forward, stop at a certain point before the water box and then roll through the water box, start to burn out at the same time in the same place. It's I wouldn't say it's superstition, but it's like just try to do it exactly the same every time. And when I don't, usually it results in a really horrible fight and a bad run. I wouldn't say superstition, but doing it the same time every time is the same way every time. Is super helpful.
All right. Now, do you have any sponsorship at all?
Just my wallet. As far as sponsorship, I never really went out and tried to get any outside help to run the car. So I pretty much run it out of my wallet, which limits the amount of stuff you can do. But at the same time, you can do whatever you want to do. And if you decide you don't want to go racing one weekend because I don't know your foot hurts or something, then you don't have to. But yeah, it's all out of my all on my credit card.
Yep. Now, does a lot of preparation go into getting that dragster ready for a weekend?
It not a whole lot. In terms of prep, I'll probably spend a good day just going through the car, changing oil, double checking the valves, just minor stuff like that. Just changing the oil and is a bit of a challenge. The car itself was built for a small block Chevy, and it's got a big block Chrysler in it, so things are way tighter than they should be in a oil pan and frame rail area. So getting the diaper off and on of the car is a little bit, and it takes me a good hour or so to get that sorted out. But I'm not changing valve springs every weekend. Actually, I go through a set of valve springs every year, and not any more than that. So it's pretty low maintenance. I think that's the other nice thing about the alcohol. Injected alcohol stuff. You put a blower on there, and now you have to worry about whether the blowers, strips are wearing out, or are you losing boost, and you got to chase another moving target there, wearing out more parts. Making sure your valve springs are good enough to keep the valves closed and all that. Injected's probably a little bit easier on parts.
So now, besides Great Lakes Dragway, you have any other tracks that favorite tracks?
I have to say I really like Byron. The folks there, I don't get out there very much. Hope to get back there this year. But they're just a nice bunch of people over there too. They're from the minute you roll in, ways. They're really helpful.